This conference will now be recorded.
Well, thank you all for joining me for one more edition of our virtual business networking. For those that may be watching on YouTube, um, normally we would meet in person in Cannonsburg, Pennsylvania, at a restaurant called Cannon's Chop House, the second Monday of every month. Unfortunately, now with the coronavirus, first the restaurant was closed. Now they're starting to reopen. But Kenneth's Chop House is an example, and some of the other ones in that area, they're only open 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. So we can't meet for lunch. So we're doing virtual meetings, which the nice thing is we've got people that have joined us from outside the Pittsburgh area, which is like really cool. We're going to start with a round of introductions. I'm going to unmute you one at a time in the same order that I have you here in my computer. Take about a minute or two to introduce yourself, your company, the product or service you provide, and maybe what would be an ideal client to refer to you in case we run into somebody that could use your product or service that we can refer to you. After that, I'll unmute everybody for hopefully the introductions maybe triggered some questions or some conversation. And then after that, we'll just go to a general business conversation, and that'll be our session for today. So hopefully all that makes sense. I know we have some people here that have been here before, and some people are new. And since I said I'd go on the order you're here, I'm going to go on the order you're here, but we're going to start with a new person. So, Alejandra, I'm sorry to throw you to the wolves, but if you want to take a minute or two to introduce yourself and what would be a good referral for you?
Absolutely. You cannot throw me to the wolves. I'm used to actually talking in front of a lot of people, so I'm not the shy type. But first and foremost, Sal, thank you. I'm excited to be here meeting new individuals. I do live right outside of Pittsburgh in the North Hills area. I'm not from Pittsburgh, if you have not heard my accent. I am from Uruguay, South America, and I think like most immigrants here, I came for a better life. I actually came here about 21 years ago. I went to school in Kansas, did my master's degree there, and then I did what my parents told me to do, which is get a good job. So I did exactly that, and for many years I was in banking. As a matter of fact, until 4 years ago, I was vice president at American Express. That's what I did for a living all day, sometimes a little bit longer, if anybody can relate to that. But 7 years ago, I was introduced to my business that I started. 3 years, I did it part-time, spare time. Right now, it's all that I do, thankfully. But what my business is, we actually help people generate residual income by marketing services that nobody can live without. We've always called them essential residential and business services. So like cell phone, internet, electricity, gas, home security, merchant services. And what we do is we partner with major corporations like Dish, DirecTV, all the utilities, Vivint Home Security, etc. And we have a way to, one, save people money or businesses money on services that they're using already. And second thing is I help people generate income, normal people, everyday single people that, you know, are open to another stream of income. And we generate income by doing that. My husband's been in the business 17 years. I've been in the business for 7. We run the #1 team in production in all of the company. We're not special. We don't have superpowers. We have a simple recipe that we teach people and a passion for a blessing that was put in front of us many years ago. And if you ask me, you know, what a good referral is, my strength always lies with, one, business owners. Doesn't have to be a traditional brick and mortar. I do have traditional brick and mortars that came with me because they were already paying these services, so they not only wanted to save money, but also generate income, a percentage residual or whatever those services paid for the life of that customer. So traditional business owners that normally don't have a retirement plan or they're owned by their businesses, you know, that love what they do, but they want an additional stream of income that will pay them residually and will allow them to retire eventually and be a little bit more free. Second type of person is real estate professionals of all sorts. from investors that already have tenants paying for this who would not mind an empty unit generating income, which is pretty odd, to real estate agents that are, every single time they close on a house, they're already setting people with services. And that's where my niche is. So I work with, big brokers like Keller Williams, Remaxes, and, I actually had some of these big brokerages have corporate approved what we do. So it's been an awesome ride, but, I love to help people. So anybody that in today's world, and I think today people are hurting, COVID left the world in an ugly place. And I think a lot of people that before would not have looked into a second stream of income today, they will, and would not have cared if they were paying $5 to $10 more on a bill today. They will look second time into that to be able to save a couple of dollars. I think everything helps. And so my passion lies on helping people, and I do it internationally. So I have teams here in the United States, and I have a passion to help other countries generate income in the United States, which I can do as a conversation for another day. But that's what I do. I'm passionate about helping people mostly.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And I have a couple questions, but I'll wait for us to finish the round of introductions here. So Barbara, do you want to introduce yourself and what a good referral would be for you?
Sure. Thank you. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Good. Okay. So my name is Barbara Klein. I am the love coach, and I own the Best You Dating and Life Coaching. And I love helping people discover their valuable gifts so they can experience growth and results. My ideal client is an unattached single who is either fearful of starting dating or getting on an online dating site, as well as people who are not having success with dating and on online dating sites. I help my clients through mindset and understanding about themselves, what they're looking for, what type of relationship they want to ultimately have, and how to attract a quality person. I do help them with their pictures and profile for their online dating websites, and I help them through the communication and meeting process. And I love also helping people. It feeds my heart and my soul. And I really enjoy connecting with my clients and helping them through these processes and feeling the success on the other side. And my life experience, I mean, I had another career, but once I experienced everything that I teach my clients, I decided to become a dating and life coach because of the beauty of this. And I know people are struggling, and it wasn't easy for me. And through the success that I gained and found my forever love, I want to help others find that success as well. So thank you so much.
And I'm really struggling because there's a question I wanted to ask you, but I will maintain the discipline. David, do you want to unmute yourself and introduce yourself? And again, same thing, maybe what would be a good referral for you?
Yes, Dave McDeavitt, born and raised in Pittsburgh, grew up in Moon Township. That's where I went to high school, went to Allegheny Community College, been in sales for, show my age, 40 years, I guess. But the reason why I got on this call or get involved in these groups are what I offer, or what the potential client I'm looking for is protection. What we have is we have a security guard service company. We have an office in Pittsburgh, Wilkes-Barre is the mothership, and then we're going to be open one in St. Petersburg. Some of our highlights are we do the Super Bowl, we do the LPG, the PGA, we do a lot of sporting activity, we do the University of Miami. And we've noticed that with all the stuff that's going on right now, we think that our services might be more towards that everyday business. With the way the world is today, you never know what's going to happen 10 minutes from now, let alone 3 years from now. So what we're offering is we're looking to grow that that recurring business instead of just in events. We've been doing events for 20 years now, so now we want to get into that person that has maybe a pawn shop, that has a gun shop, grocery stores, independent retailers that don't want a protest to turn into a something that's going to happen to their livelihood or their business. And it seems like we've hit it perfect timing with everything that's going on in the political world with about defunding or not getting rid of the police. Maybe it'd be more comfortable if a security guard was there instead of an armed person that intimidates you. I don't know. But yeah, we're looking for, the schools, we're looking for the colleges. We're just looking for that person that maybe feels uncomfortable having a police officer there, but somebody there that's going to protect them at some kind of level. That's what we offer. So pretty much I'm open to anybody that has anything that they want to protect.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much, David.
Yep.
Jennifer, if you want to introduce yourself and mention what a good referral would be for you.
Okay, hi, I run Gen Lough Agency. I do marketing, and lately I've been focused on nonprofits, specifically veteran organizations, and creating TV content programming. So my educational background was I was a psychologist and an educator, and I basically like a wide variety of things. So I kind of dabble when people bring projects to me that are out of the mainstream. So if you have something unusual, you need research, development, program stuff, feel free to give me a call.
Okay,
Thanks,
excellent.
Sal.
Thank you. And before I open it up for everybody else, because I always forget to do this, I'll briefly introduce myself. So my name is Sal Acosta. I'm a business broker. I help people buy and sell businesses. Anything that has 10 to 250 employees, anything that has 0 to about 10 or $20 million in revenue, anything that has 0 to $1 or $2 million in EBITDA. An ideal client for me is somebody that is in that 60 to 80-year-old range. That a lot of their personal wealth is tied up in the business, but they want to retire. So before they can really retire and hit the golf links in Florida or hang out with the grandkids in Pittsburgh or whatever it is that retired people do, they come see me to sell the business and cash out. So that's basically what I do. Let's see. Oh, and I'm sorry, I skipped somebody here. Yeah. Russ, do you want to unmute yourself and introduce yourself?
Hey, Sal. I was worried you were going to forget all about me, buddy. Sorry, I had to go take care of my newborn. She's off screen here. So my name's Russ York. I'm with Liberty Insurance Agency. I am a commercial insurance broker. That means I take care of things like general liability, professional liability, workers' comp. Two of the big ones right now are cyber liability and EPLI, which is employment practice liability. We have been we're born and raised right here in the Pittsburgh area. We have 3 offices. We're licensed in all 50 states. We have a little over 7,000 clients across North America. We have 1 or 2 in Canada. I just heard about those ones, but essentially we kind of have a little different approach to commercial lines of insurance, and it's just not about saying, well, let's make sure that you have the best possible premium. We want you to have the best possible coverage. With COVID and the state really reopening, there are a lot of new risks out there right now for business owners, and it really streams through every line of insurance, through workers' comp. If you have an employee that gets sick and ends up with coronavirus, they can file a workers' comp claim. That wasn't something you saw with the common cold or even the flu. Those weren't reportable instances. Employment practices. I've already filed claims for companies that furloughed 50% of their workforce and didn't bring everyone back. And those that didn't come back filed a suit citing some type of discrimination based upon age or sex or something like that. So there's a lot of things to consider with that. Cyber has run rampant with the increased risk. The increased risk really is all of us working from home on unsecured networks, on unsecured devices. The increased threat has been the increase in cyber activity. And, right now, fortunately, some of the bigger names in the insurance business are starting to create products for small business owners. I mean, small business owners. Typically, cyber was something that was a little bit out of reach sometimes because of the cost of it. So, but I enjoy these meetings. There's always a new face or two, and thanks, Sal, for putting all this together. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for joining us. Well, everybody's unmuted, so I'm hoping that the introductions maybe triggered some questions that anybody wants to ask from anybody. No? Who wants to go first?
Sal, you said you had questions for Alexandra, and you had a question for me. Do you remember what they were?
Yes, actually, I'll start with you. Have you ever been invited to a wedding?
Oh, yes. Many.
Okay. Excellent.
Oh, you mean for a client?
Yeah.
Not
Like,
yet.
have you ever helped somebody do their profile online or figure out who it is that the right match is for them, and then maybe 6 months or a year or whatever down the road, they say, "Hey, Barb, thank you very much for getting married, by the way. Would you like to come to the wedding?"
I will let you know when that happens. I am looking forward to that.
Okay. Excellent.
Thank you.
So, Alejandra,
Sure.
I know you're from Uruguay, and I found that
Yeah.
so interesting.
I know we're only 3 million total, so
There you go.
we're not that many.
Did you go to Kansas State in Kansas?
Yes, sir. So I did my bachelor's degree in Uruguay, and then I wanted to do my master's degree in the United States. And this is a true story. I was applying for a semi-scholarship. I had the opportunity to come on an exchange program that did not do a master's degree, but they were willing to give it a try, and I was kind of like their guinea pig. It was privately, so it did not mandate it for me to eventually go back home if I didn't want to, so that kind of enticed me a little bit. By the time that I came here, I don't know how much you know about like world economy, but Argentina had fallen into a major crisis back in 2000, 1999, 2000. And so my father, business owner, said, you know what, maybe just go give it a try in the United States, stay there for a few years until this turns around. A few years turned into my life, that was not expected, but so I came here to do a master's degree, and the funny part is how I ended up in Kansas, which is a question that everybody asks. I folded them up in two. Well, I folded them up in two. I wanted to really have the real, true American experience. I knew that was not going to happen on the coasts. So I figured the middle of the United States, it's in Kansas, and Kansas State happened to be one of my options. So I took it. And it had a good master's degree program for business, which is what I wanted to do. So I took it.
Excellent.
I know. Okay. I really literally found the middle of the United States.
Excellent. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
I actually want to tell Barbara it's a beautiful conversation that she is in. I just think wherever our minds are is wherever things grow, and how beautiful it is to be able to be in internal growth conversation all the time. That takes a very special person. So, my hat goes off to you. Now, I have a question, just out of curiosity. I'm happily married, but out of curiosity, do you also, like, say for example, you're coaching two people, and they're, you could see there was an amazing connection. Like, do you also put people together if needed be from your database, or it's just a coaching?
Okay, so Russ will appreciate this. My insurance does not allow me to matchmake, but I have suggested that, people contact each other, people that I know. So it had not led to a relationship, but at least they had a dating, being able to go on a first date and have that experience. So yeah, but there are times where I'm speaking with them and somebody comes to mind that might be an interesting engagement for them. So periodically I will recommend them contact another person. But if somebody, like, for example, is not comfortable with being on a dating website, I have a connection with a local matchmaker, and I would refer them to her. So, and she actually does a really good job. Although I used her and she didn't do a great job for me, she did for my brother, and my brother got married to the woman. So
you got invited to that wedding?
I did get invited to that wedding, yes. But that was before I did what I do. And but yeah, I mean, I'm all about people connecting. That is truly what I'm all about, and making people feel more comfortable and feel value in who they are in order to connect appropriately with another person. So, and I did have a question for Russ. How old's your baby?
She's 3 months.
Aw, that's beautiful. Congratulations.
First or second or third? Which number is it?
This is my third.
Okay, you're good then.
Yeah.
First one, you feel like you're gonna break them. Second and third, you can work with her next to you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very nice.
And for us older people, Russ, tomorrow they'll be 30 before you know it. Because I have one that's 30 and 27, and when you said, "Hey, the baby's interfering me," I'd love to have those days back again. But they grow up quick, man. So enjoy the crying, the teething, the walking, get in the car seat, get out of the car seat. It goes by fast. Trust me.
Truly.
Hey, David. David, I have a quick question for you.
Sure.
I was actually seeing this the other day on TV. So from a security perspective, I know that the cameras have been used traditionally. That's sort of very old standard technology. But what are you seeing in terms of robots that actually walk around either autonomously or monitored from a central location? And are drones playing any type of role in like event security yet, or not? Are those two technologies doing anything really, or not yet?
Yeah, I would. That's a great question. I would probably say that's probably, to relate it to now, that's probably like 1965's IBM. It's just starting. Right now, we don't really run into it to the point where people that we deal with are still touchy-feely, human interaction. The robot thing, I mean, eventually I see that happening, but that's just way down the road. People are still more secure when they can come up to us and say, "Hey, we need you to go over there." You know what I mean? We need you, like when we go to the Super Bowl, we got to do different gates or different venues. So people feel comfortable coming up to us saying, "Hey, can you put 10 guys in parking lot A? They're getting kind of rowdy. They've been drinking for 4 hours. It might get out of control." So I think from what's happening right now, we're more of a company that's a proactive. I mean, the more that we can be proactive, the less we got to be reactive, because reactive doesn't work for anybody. So being proactive, just having someone there that you can mingle with and have a human contact conversation is going to be better than a robot, is going to be better than, you know, just a camera. A camera just tells who's lying when it goes to court, is the way we look at it. It tells who needs to be reprimanded for either too much force or was, you know, how can I say, was recommended force at the time or needed. Cameras or video is just going to tell you the two stories that are told. It's going to weigh, is the person telling one side got more proof based upon the video or less proof based upon the video. So that's all that's used for. But the actual protecting people, I don't think that's going to go away for, in my lifetime, I think, to where it's going to be that human interaction. You know, like how you can have robots all over the golf course. Like when we do PGA tours, we're everywhere. So from a cost point, that's not going to happen for a while, but I just don't think that that's going to affect our business for probably a long time. If that answers your question, does that help?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And let me just a quick follow-on question. In terms of hiring and training, do you try to hire people with police experience, military experience, or do you try to do the opposite or not hire people with police experience or military experience? And either way, what kind of training do you give them? Because obviously your role is exactly not police, exactly not military. So what, after you hire one way or the other, how do you train?
Well, the interview process is just me having a conversation, or anybody in our organization. How do you handle this situation? How do you feel if someone comes in and had 35 beers and they want to get in the gate without a ticket? I mean, if someone tells me, like, I could never be a security guard in my younger days. I'm half Sicilian, so I can lose my temper in a minute. But, you know, I'd probably 30 years ago, I would have told someone I've tackled a guy, hit him over the head, and call somebody to come take him home. But naturally, you can't do that. So getting to the real world is whenever we interview people, we put them in a scenario and see how they would respond to it. As far as you saying, like, my ex-father-in-law was a city cop for traffic, so that's different than somebody on a beat. Still the same, you know, how can I say that, you know, their jobs their lives in jeopardy no matter what you do in the cop world. But we would lend more towards that policeman that maybe doesn't have the street thing, because they're going to protect themselves first. So to answer your question about cops and all that, some of them are going to be okay, but we're more looking for that person that's like, if you walked away from a conversation, no matter if you're the person that's causing problems or the one that's putting the fire out, you don't have an opinion on who did what the best. You just want it to be neutral. And like I said, our goal with our organization is, and that's why we got good referrals and why we do these big events, is we strive ourselves on training guys to be proactive. Our guys aren't waiting for something to happen. Like if they go to the amphitheater and they see, they're gonna see if something's about ready to brew. So before it gets out of control, nobody even knows something happened, is what our goal is. So we're looking for that person that's not like crazy. And we're not looking for that person that says, oh, if someone says they're going to punch me in the face, I'm going to run home and to my mom. So we're looking for that person in between. Does that help a little bit?
Absolutely.
The training part is that, you know, we always say, pretend like you're pulling your brother over for a ticket. How would you treat him? Pretend like your mom's, you know, get ready to start a fight at the grocery store. How would you treat her? That's how we train our guys.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody have anything else for anybody?
So I think I'm pretty clear on referrals for Barbara, and I'm actually even thinking all those people that maybe are, you know, that just lost a spouse a few years ago, they're ready to date again, but they've been married for so long, or they got divorced and they've been married for so long that, you know, they don't know what to do. I saw with my mother-in-law, you know, she was widow for about 10 years, and she did, you know, ended up on the dating scene. Now she's been seeing somebody for a year and it's changed her life, and I love it. But she had no idea. She started dating her husband when she was 17, so she was lost, you know. So I see those type of things. I think I'm pretty clear with you. David, pretty too, because I think it's pretty straightforward. I'm a referral person. See, I love network groups. I'm going to continue to come. I believe in the building the relationships. That's how I built my whole entire business. David, I think I'm pretty clear with you, because you're and it. I love how you adapted to the times, because events. I mean, I just started working. Funny enough, I actually met a guy. Probably put you in touch with him for the future. I don't know what's your reach. Is it Pennsylvania, or do you reach outside of the state?
We're all over the United States.
Okay, so I have an individual that sat at one of my presentations, I want to say maybe 2 months ago, and he called me about 2 weeks ago and said, look, I want to see if I could see another presentation again. And I said, he's like, you know what, I sat, do you remember? And I used to do living rooms. Now I do this, which is so much better. But, long story short, he said, I didn't pay attention to you because I wasn't interested. See, he works for the Royals. So he's like, my baseball season about to come, so I really wasn't interested. But now my baseball season is inexistent. So I wonder, if for when the new normal comes again, if it ever does, and I'm hoping, praying that eventually it does, that would be a good contact for you already. But I see where you're trying, and I love that you adapted to the new times. And I have a friend that has a gun business in his house, but I wonder if he knows, here in Pennsylvania, other people. I'm all about connecting people. So I wonder if he knows other people. So I may put you just in touch with him. He's been 25 years in law enforcement, so he knows quite a bit of people in that realm. He fights for Second Amendment all the time. He's big on that. So I think he'll be somebody that I could connect with you. I'm going to make that connection for you for sure, because that's more immediate to you, but I will keep in mind the other one, the Kansas City Royals one too. Russ, I think with you, I think I'm pretty clear as well. I know what you do. I used to go to BNI, and somebody in the BNI that I went to did exactly what you did. So I think I understand what you do in terms of commercial insurance. So pretty straightforward. I do identity theft protection for people from a individual level as well as a business level. And I wonder if we could eventually maybe put something together, because it kind of runs hand in hand with all the new people coming into the cyber world and utilizing this technology a lot more. I think people are more exposed. So maybe we should just put our heads together, see what we can do. Yeah, because it's the same realm. But Jennifer, I became a little unclear on what would be a good referral for you. And I'm taking notes because I don't want to forget. So if I'm looking down, I'm paying attention. I'm just taking notes. What would be a good referral for you?
Anyone that needs troubleshooting in research and development for anything, manufacturing, marketing, new product line opening. And then
talk to me if I'm 5 years old, because I think I'm so far removed from your industry that I'm not sure that I completely fully understood what you do. And I apologize if it's just me. I just want to make sure that I leave here clear on how we can help each other.
You know what, Jennifer, maybe if I'll suggest if you give her maybe some examples of projects or things you've done
that you're doing.
Oh, okay. All right. Currently I'm doing content development and research for a TV network. I'm doing their programming. I also have a woman.
So sorry to stop you there, but what do you do for them? Just because I have a friend that owns a TV network in Kansas.
I'm literally developing the sample television show with a producer.
Okay. All right.
Literally everything, the programming, the video. I have about 6 degrees. I've went to over 12 universities, so I'm very diverse. I've worked for Fortune 500 companies. I've worked for colleges. So I go where what interests me. I've also worked in real estate, and I've also worked with a woman that's manufacturing a medical device in Florida, trying to bring her product to market. So I have the client in Florida trying to bring the medical device product to market. I have the TV show I'm trying to film for a network. And then I'm also working with some nonprofits to incubate them to the next level. So those
I know a lot of people that own a lot of nonprofits. I have quite a bit of friends that have nonprofits. So maybe I'll just meet with you in a one-on-one, really truly get it, because I love that you are in so many different places. I have a big network of people. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I mean, I'll just do what interests me.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I know some of you are already doing it because I see it, but if you in the chat box put whatever you want to put, your phone, your email, your website, your LinkedIn, after we conclude this meeting, I always take the chat log and email it out so everybody can see each other's contact information. And again, for example, in the case of Jennifer, it might be good for you, Alejandra, to have like her LinkedIn, because I'm sure there's a lot of stuff on there. And you know, for everybody, I think LinkedIn is a good tool. But again, emails, phones, whatever you want to share.
And Sal, I'm going to introduce you to somebody that used to be in the BNI that I did. That's kind of a little bit. It's in the lines that you do, but a little bit different work. But it may end up being that ends up in a sale. What she does is try to make the transition smooth for the next generation. But I wonder how many times that doesn't happen and they end up in a sale.
You're absolutely right, because I always say I'm a business broker. There is sort of a bigger term, which is sort of exit planning. And that to me includes, to your point, you know, a lot of times is, how do I turn over this to the employees? How do I turn over this to the kids, or even other family members, you know, a younger brother, or, you know, whatever the case may be. And when I first meet a client, that's the first thing that I ask them. I say, okay, well, listen, I'm assuming you don't have a kid that's interested in the business. I'm assuming you don't have employees or spouses or family members that are interested in the business. I'm assuming you're ready to market it to the general public. Because I'll be the first one to tell you, the best possible transition is to the kids. It's just a lot of times the kids are not interested.
Or they just not capable, or who knows, the situation is. But I know that that's what she does. She does like the exit, but I don't think that I know of. I never heard her say anything about, you know, selling the business or preparing it for sale or anything. But I'm assuming that had to have happened to her, where she started the transition and then it doesn't, you know, pan out. So I'm going to create that introduction. If it ends in something, then great for you guys to refer business to each other, if you don't mind.
Thank you.
Alejandra, who's a good referral for you?
So basically anybody that is open to another stream of income without stopping what they're doing is not necessary. So my husband and I developed a system for people to come through our business. We work with a company that's been 27 years operating, and we're business with 1099s within that company. And so we work with everybody that, you know, that it's looking for another stream of income, or wants another stream.
Okay, so you're selling something.
Yeah, we sell.
So you're selling the services like TV and electric.
Correct. So we're the middlemen. So we're not experts on services. So people sometimes say, you know what, Alejandra, I don't want to come in because I don't want to learn anything about electricity. I know nothing either. I'm a connector. So I connect the customer. Say, for example, somebody wants AT&T internet. I just have a website to go through where I have different pricing, because I am a direct seller, and because we're direct sellers, we alleviate some costs for the company, and they give us different packages that are better than if you were to go to AT&T directly. And so
what company brand name do you work under?
So the company name, it's called ACM. A as an apple, C as a cat, N as a Nancy. So that is the main company that has all the contracts with AT&T, with DirecTV, with Vivint Home Security, with ID Seal, Sphere, payment processing, and all the different services that we do. So we market those services. We do it on without advertising, this way, creating relationships. A person comes in and has the opportunity to, one, sell their own services on their own website, you know, save money to individuals that they already know, and also introduce it to other individuals. So it works in the form of an MLM, but for services. So it's very different. So people that normally would not look at an MLM sideways, like real estate agents or brokers or real estate investors. They come in because they have access to services. So it just makes sense to them. So we create a concierge service for anybody that's in real estate, one-stop shop for that client that is closing on a new home. You've been in real estate. So imagine your customer, you're already generating a lot of those transactions, like the title, or they ask you who to use for mortgage. And they're also sometimes going to ask you, who do I use for TV or cable here in this area? So we generate a one-stop shop for that client. The client's happy. The real estate agent made profit not only in that transaction, but now residually every time a person pays a bill, and everybody's happy. So I work with real estate professionals because of that, but I also work with normal people like me that don't have access to bills, but everybody that we know uses one.
Hey, Alejandra, let me ask you this question, and I don't know if you do this or not, but I remember, and this of course goes back, but I suspect it's still the same. When I was working for all these big companies that you were constantly relocating, a lot of times you wouldn't even buy a house because you'd be moving on anyway, so you would rent like a nice apartment or even rent a nice house, whatever. But a lot of times, like if it was an apartment, the admin people for the building would give you like a little care package when you get in that would tell you things like, hey, this are the internet companies, this is the TV companies that give you some popcorn and some stuff like that. Do you work with those people to maybe get your information in there for these people that are relocating again, because they're professionals and they need to set up all this stuff in their apartment?
So that's interesting you asked. So in that case, I would be more interested on showing that person that helps people with relocating the business and have them generate the income on that instead of me. Of course, if they don't want to, I can always put my name in the flyer, but why not them? Because the company will pay the person that brings a customer in up to 20% residually on the services, which is a lot of money, and then 4% on the team. So say, for example, I have brokers. So I have a KW lady. She owns 7 Keller Williams offices in the Kansas City market. She came in just to give her agents the opportunity to generate income, but she came in first. Then all her agents that want to generate income can come work with us too, have their own concierge service. They're making 20%. She's making 4% of what they're doing anyway. So property management is very similar to what you're saying right now. They onboard tenants. So they come in to do it as well. And so I usually try to always teach somebody how to benefit, how to get an additional stream of income from something that they're already doing, more than just taking it myself. I'll still make money anyway, but I'm creating a distribution, which is what I've mastered.
Okay, very good. All right, we're here hitting 45 minutes into the meeting, and I try to keep it more or less 30 to 45 minutes. So are there anybody else want to ask anything from anybody before we kind of call it quits for today? We will have another one in 2 weeks, so you'll have the opportunity to get on again in 2 weeks, and hopefully at some point we'll be able to have them in person, but we'll keep going to virtual until we can do the in person and maybe swap back and forth. So but anyway, does anybody have any last questions or comments for anybody on anything?
When is the next one? Sorry, Sal, did you say on the 29th?
2 weeks from today.
2 weeks from today.
And I'll send that email, but exactly, it'll be Monday at 2 p.m. 2 weeks from today.
Perfect. It's in my calendar.
Hey, Sal, if we do come up with some referrals, how do we forward those to everybody? I don't know if I got everybody's email. So if I get everybody's email, if I have something that fits in somebody's
good question,
and their wheelhouse per se, I'll send it out to you guys. So as long as I have everybody's emails, the next couple of weeks, I'll try to get somebody something.
Well, if everybody put in their email into the system when they're logged in, or put it into the chat, either way, because when this meeting is over, I'll upload this into YouTube. I'll actually email everybody with a link to the YouTube video so you can share it on your social media if you want. And then everybody will be able to see everybody's email. And if everything else fails, email me and I'll make sure to get a hold of them one way or the other.
Okay, and I'm going to say something that's definitely not going to happen. I told Barb separately that if I got married again, I'd invite her, but that's just not going to happen. I just thought I'd put that out there.
Oh, no, you don't want to get in trouble.
I saw it on the chat. And now that chat's going to be emailed, be careful, David.
Yeah, I spelled her name wrong on purpose so she can never accuse me of texting it to her.
Oh my God. Oh, don't forget this, by the way, a quick little tip. When this video gets uploaded into YouTube, you can share it. You can create a link that you can share that starts at a different time than at the very beginning of the video. So if you want to share a link to the YouTube video that starts when you're making your own introduction, or maybe where you're answering a question or whatever, just be aware YouTube has a little tool that I think is very handy. Allows you to create a link that when you send it to people and they click on that link, it starts at whatever moment you selected in the video.
Okay,
That's
good.
good. No,
That's good.
very good.
Yep. Okay. All right, guys. Well, I think this has been enough. We'll have one exactly in 2 weeks, 2 p.m. on Monday. I'll send the link out to that. So please register on Meetup. And thank you all for joining me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.